Sewing in San Diego. I'm Magda. Today I want to talk about how much does it cost to get into the hobby of sewing. I will just give you the basic numbers and I'll explain what I recommend for someone getting started, and I'll tell you how much it all costs at the end too. The first thing that you need if you're interested in sewing with a machine is, of course, a machine itself. What I chose to purchase for myself a couple of years ago is this Brother machine. It's a ST531HD model. I think anything that really has a couple of basic functions would be terrific for a beginner. Of course, you want a straight stitch, zigzag stitch, and then I'm really happy that this model has one of those 4-step buttonhole makers. Super easy to make a buttonhole and also to attach buttons. So I like it. It's got one of those drop-ins right here for the bobbin, and I can also see if I'm running low on the bobbin thread, and it's super easy to wind. So I like it, and this will be, of course, your most expensive investment getting into this hobby. The second most expensive thing, in my opinion, will be your iron. This here is a Sunbeam, but you can expect to spend about $50 on it ish, maybe a little less. Definitely get a steam iron. I find that is so helpful when not just ironing clothes at the end of the day before getting ready for work the next day, but also just as you sew, it's a good habit to get those seams nice and pressed before moving on to the next sewing step. Before I move away too far from my machine topic, I wanted to add 2 more things to your shopping list that are machine related. Needles, sewing needles, and a bobbin case. So both of these you want to make sure are compatible with whatever machine you choose. I recommend these Schmetz universal needles. It's a 10-pack. Just keep them on hand. They do occasionally break. They get dull after a few hours of use. So I stocked up and I have a bunch of these here nearby. And then the bobbin case. I sew with a lot of different colors. I think I have 2 of these cases. Yes. And it's convenient to keep everything in one place. I find that it doesn't fly open and make a mess all over my workspace. And again, you want to make sure that you pick out bobbins that are compatible with your machine. Moving on, a couple more things here. It's fun. This is fun stuff for me. A seam ripper. There's not a single project that I've ever worked on that didn't require one of these. We make mistakes with sewing. We learn as we go. And even if we're sure what we're doing, maybe something goes wrong and a seam has to be removed. So I highly recommend one of these. And this one specifically I like very much. It's called an Ergonomic seam ripper and really does feel comfortable, especially when you're sitting there working on a really long bunch of thread that just needs some removing. This here is just a 60-inch measuring tape. I recommend one of these when measuring our bodies, especially when determining sizes, when working on garments. That way, the fitting process just goes a lot faster, and I find that I don't have to make as many mock-ups before tackling a project for real with the good fabric. Pins. I like purchasing pins that are the longest I can find. I think these are over 2 inches long. When I just checked the Joann's website, I couldn't find any that were quite this long, but I do recommend as long as you can find. And I prefer to have a pin collection that has colors on the end and not just a metal tip. And that's because they fall on the floor. And they're just so much easier to find and pick up at the end of a sewing session. So I don't step on them and hurt myself. Scissors. Purchase yourself a good pair of fabric scissors and don't let anyone touch them. My husband and my children know that these are off limits. These are mine. They're only for fabric, and so far they haven't gone broken or lost. And then also a smaller pair of scissors, embroidery scissors, or just some snips, so that when working through a project, you know how there's always thread at the end of a seam that we're sewing. It's just so much easier to pick up something like this than it is something this bulky and heavy, especially when we're tired. I think I'm less likely to hurt myself if I have something like this within reach. than something like this at the end of the day. And I should probably put my sewing away and go to bed, but I'm still working. And this I really like. I see there's another pair of scissors in here, but not for the scissors. I like having a little travel sewing kit because it contains small things that I might otherwise not know where to find in my home, like safety pins, like sewing needles, for hand sewing, like if I have to finish up something that the machine won't handle very well, like slip stitching, like a waist seam allowance up at the end of a dress. So super convenient to have something like this laying around, and I have more than one. Here we have an ironing board. If you have one, cool. If you're setting out and you want to purchase one for your home, I would not get a large one right away if you're not big on ironing clothes and it would just be for a sewing hobby. I would just get something smaller like this. It folds up. I just tuck it away between bookcases and no one trips over it, and I just take it out when I need it. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about that I think is super helpful to have is one of these. It's just a giant cardboard that I put down on my table or on my bed, wherever it is that I will be cutting out fabric or large paper pattern pieces. And that way it just protects the surface beneath it. And I'll tell you, I've had this for several years. It is cardboard, but it hasn't been destroyed somehow. So I do recommend this product. So each of these items that I just discussed, I went ahead and pulled up on the Joann's website so I could cost this all out for you. Again, the two most expensive things are definitely the sewing machine and the iron. This exact model, if you were to purchase it on the Joann website today, is $230. All of these things here, and slightly different variations. I don't know where I bought this. I don't know how much I paid for it, but I did find a similar product on the Joann website today. So all this stuff, including the machine and the iron, come out to $398.08, free shipping. So there it is, about $400 to get started. This, of course, does not include any fabric, any thread, buttons, zippers, interfacing, all that other stuff that we need to pick up as we go. But I thought this might be a helpful guide for you if you're thinking about getting started, or you want to make a gift for a child of yours who's expressed interest. You're looking at about $400 if you need to purchase all of this from the very beginning. I hope that's helpful. Let me know in the comments if you have any thoughts, if I've left something out or you feel like something you would never use, maybe two pairs of scissors. I'd love to know what your thoughts on this. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, there's a cat feeder. There's the second one. Anyway, again, thank you for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next episode.